Okay, so how I planned out this talk was to have a little interesting exercise to do from which we understand how gamification of innovation can be done, right? So I'll just look at what is the core of learning. Now, for example, there's a man out here and there's work out there. So between man and work, there are challenges because, for example, there could be skill challenge because especially when we are looking at gamification, design thinking, we are also looking at learning in some manner or the other. So the challenges could be, of course, skill comes in between, knowledge comes in between, some kind of an expertise issue, some confidence issues can come, and yes, if we look at uh, like innovation, then of course probabilities are also part of that, right? So going further, I'll share some examples, but fine. I'll just look at something that we are, of course, in during the conference, we are looking at various models of gamification where intense discussions are there. So one question comes to the mind always: do you require a team of experts to gamify learning all the time, or can simple, ordinary people do this gamification part? Can maybe with a little help or guidance, because otherwise gamification will remain in these boardrooms in discussions. So it has to be broken down so that it goes to hands of people who don't know anything about gamification, but they want to apply it. This is some kind of introduction. I'll just go through it fast. There's some books I wrote. Yes. So I have onto a definition which I wrote some time back. There's no one without purpose in a game. So that is what gamification is all about. So basically, to look at gamification in that sense. And of course, another version of that, the game gives you a purpose. Of course, the real aim is to find a purpose. So I look at a very simple example. What happens is there's something called game theory and something called gamification. So what happens is in game theory, probabilities lead to the result. But in gamification, we are given an opportunity to maybe even like lay out the marks or incentives along the way so that the eye of the student is led into the learning. So that is the core difference between something called game theory and gamification. Now we can play small game. There is a folder link that I've given. If you can open it, if you can open it. Okay, I need some volunteers alongside. Just maybe 8 volunteers. If anybody is willing to play, or even if everybody is willing to play.
Are you asking for volunteers from
Yes.
or
Yes. From the people who are attending, yes, if they can, they would like to take part in the game in the short gamified.
I have a raised hand in the room. Can you also take virtual?
Yeah. Okay, because they will have to be able. Yeah, Karen, sure.
Okay.
We have, sure. Jasdeep Singh, yeah. Max Cropper, Bikramjit, yeah. We have got volunteers. We have got about 4 volunteers so far. Can some more people volunteer, please? It will be great. Amal, yeah, great, wonderful. Just a few more. Liz, great, good. Maureen, Nilu, good. So, out of these volunteers, I think we have got 8 couple. Yes, good. So, out of these volunteers, there could be people. I'll do a small experiment on, like, because innovation is also like writing a story. So, since innovating within a workshop is impossible, so we'll just write a small story, right? So are there, out of these volunteers, I want to ask, are there people who are really good with writing stories? Just let us know so that we know who is the audience. Yes, Karen does okay. Yes, Kopal, fine. So we have got 2-3 volunteers who say that they are pretty good with it. So what we'll do is we'll break the group into 2 parts. So one group will be people who can write stories. So they will be our volunteer X, Y, and Z. So just pick a digit and you write your digit here. So people who can write stories will be X, Y, and Z. So just pick one. So Kopal, you can be X, right? So Kopal is X, Amal is Z, and Karen, third was Karen, Y, right? So Kopal X, Karen Y, and Amal Z. And now the rest of the people who have volunteered will pick A, B, C, D, E, right? So let me know who's A, who's B, who's C. So Bikram is B because his name starts with B, I guess. Yes. Neelu is A, Jasjeet is B, Max is C. So Bikram B, Max C, Liz is E. Great. And who was the Jasjeet? Great. So this is the setup. So now our time starts now. Everybody picks the sheet that there's an Excel out there. So just please open the Excel file. I can stop sharing so that I can also see that Excel file.
Can you please share the link again?
Sure, I'll do that. I'll also stop sharing for a while. That makes it easier because I also cannot see the link. Yes. And here is the where is the chat? This is the link. So kindly go to this link and maybe go to this. I'll just change the sheet. So go to the sheet, first sheet, which is called Idea 5 Volunteers, right? So open the link in front of your name. Please open the link in front of your name. But now the twist comes. The twist is that people who have volunteered who cannot write a story will do it in a different manner, in a collaborative manner. And people who have volunteered to write a story will do it in a singular, solo manner. So volunteer. X, Y, and Z will first write the name of the character. Just think of a wild character, just give it a name, any wild name. And A, B, C, D, E also, please do that. Just give a wild name on the sheet. On the second page of the sheet, you can see where you can give names. So ignore what I have written. Remove that. In the brackets, I've just written some hints to just give a name to your character.
Is it compulsory to start the name with the letter we have chosen?
No, nothing. Anything,
Okay.
wild.
Fine.
Right. So just write the name. We use 30 seconds for that. 30 seconds would, I think, be good. And for volunteers A, B, C, D, E, meanwhile, you can also do one more thing. If you're finished, I'll give you one small instruction. The rest of the people are free to take a look at these sheets. You can open all the sheets if you want, because I don't want people to get bored. Just watch the. Yeah, I can repeat. Please, whichever your letter is, which means Neelu is A, so you please open sheet A. Sheet A and write the name of a character. It could be very wild. It is up to you. So just open sheet A and write the name of a character. Right? Volunteer A is pending. I think B, C, D, E have done the work. Volunteer A, can you write that? Because we are ready to go. And volunteer X, there are two people.
The link is not clickable. Where to write? The link is not opening.
The links are all. I can give you the link to A.
Volunteer A, besides volunteer A, there is a link, the yes. Google Doc link. That link is not opening.
Wait, I am giving you the link here also. This is A. I'll give all the links in the chat for it, at least A, B, C, D, E. This is A. Please click it. Anybody else is facing any problem? So what we are doing is A, B, C, D, E are writing a story collaboratively, and X, Y, Z are writing a story by themselves. Yes, could you do it? Did that open?
Yeah.
Great. So I think we are all done. Now, one small thing, please remember, for A, B, C, D, E, now please open the next one, which means A will open now the B one, B will open C, C will open D, D will open E, and E will open A. This matrix is given, so we have completed what is written in column C. So now we move to column D. If anybody has a confusion, you can ask me. Fine. So please go to the second part. So A, B, C, D, E will change their sheets. Anybody has an issue to understand, then please ask me. So for X, Y, Z, you proceed to second question, which is now you imagine a very odd place that you can think of. It could be like somebody could live inside a socket or in a cupboard or in a shoe or a shoebox inside the gutter, wherever, in another world, whatever you can think of. Just put a place.
I cannot see what B has written.
You should be able to see.
I can't.
In B, the name of the character is Bang On.
Okay.
You can see that.
Okay, fine.
I'm not sure why you can't see. But in A, you have A is not written any name of the character.
I wrote. Okay, I wrote on the click on speaker notes.
No, you have to
Okay,
write it.
okay, I'll write it.
Finish it. Yeah. So please, if you're writing just a name, like maybe C has written a name. So can you? No, volunteer C. Please don't fill everything. Please don't fill everything. Only fill the B, the second one. Where does it live? Only the second one. Where does it live? So you can define in a bracket because if there is some name, the next person may not be able to understand. So please define, okay, on a high mountain or something to let a person sitting across the globe know where the person, or it could be an animal, it could be anything. Wonderful, great. D, you are still to write it. D, you are still to write something. C, you also have to write. D and C. We are waiting for you. Meanwhile, yes, X, Y, and Z have written. Great. Because for individuals, it will be fast, but you can take a little more time if you want. And you can take others can take a look at these sheets. You don't take a look at others' sheets, right? Okay. So D, can you please respond? Your sheet, nothing is visible on your sheet. Who's D? Who's doing D right now? C is doing D. So which means Max, can you do that? Max, you there?
What do I need to do?
Yeah, Max, can you just, where does it live? Can you put it?
So I actually, on which one?
On D, you have to put now. After C, you have to put on D.
Okay, on D. All right.
Yeah. So next, after this, you'll be E for the third question. That is how we are going. By rotation, we are building something. Wonderful. Wonderful. You can be really weird if you want. There's no restriction. Right? Okay. So now, A moves to C, B moves to D, C moves to E, and D will move to A. C, and E will move to B.
C is completely filled.
Yeah, forget it. You can redo that part, the third one.
Third one.
Right. Right, you can define as much as you want. Don't fill the fourth one. A, somebody is filling the fourth one in A. Please do not fill the fourth one. Only fill up till the third one.
It's all on the files.
Right? You got it? I'll meanwhile remove all extra fillings so that you don't get confused. Okay, and if any time you get confused, now you already know what you have to fill. If you can just go to the Excel, it defines in which sheets you have to fill what. So one by one, you keep on shifting sheets and keep on filling it.
Can I interject a moment? in the room, we're not able to see what you're doing. It's wonderful. We see your face, but we have, unless people have access to the meeting, we are not seeing anything. So,
okay, I'll just share my screen, although.
Yes, please share your screen.
Right, great.
Sorry, folks.
Right. So you can see different volunteers filling. I will keep on switching sheets so that you can understand.
We can see your screen now. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is volunteer A, volunteer B, volunteer C getting filled. This is volunteer D. In D, somebody is filling. So please take care that you are filling at the right space, because you have to tell about the friends of the character. So I'll do one thing. I'll also, this maybe makes it easier. Yeah, I think somebody has deleted a question by mistake. I'll try to improve it. Okay, I've written the initials of who has to fill what. That will make it easy. Yeah. Keep on attempting. Just look at the first letter and you will know what that relates to you. So C will fill only the ones where C is written. Yeah, I hope now nobody has a confusion.
I started with the filling
Yeah.
B, and then I've completed it to E. So do I have to jump to A?
Yeah,
or
keep on
shall I
jumping.
start?
Yeah, A, B, C, D, E in that sequence. So if you started with B, then C, D, E, and then A. Back to A. That is the sequence. Actually, when I do this physically, it is so easy because everybody is sitting side by side. So we pass on the slip to the next person and it keeps on happening. So I'm also telling you how to do it in an actual live class. For now, you fill it as per the first letter. So we have got...
likewise,
yeah.
in the volunteer C sheet,
Mm-hmm.
If you see the fifth question, where the B initial is there, how does it survive? Right. Somebody is already filled by turning into diamond. So
no,
what am I supposed to do?
Okay, if B has to fill it, then you change it. Don't worry. You change it. Okay. Right. I'll keep on cycling these so that others can take a look. like in the story of A is reached till five things are done. 5 things are done in B. We have got 4 things done in C. And I'll keep on letting you know where to go. In the D story, we have already reached till 7 stages. And in E, we have reached 6 stages. Great. You're doing well.
I am not able to track where I need to go because everything is filled in sheet E.
So, in sheet E, if everything is filled, you have to fill only the one which is starting with A. This one. What does it want now? What does the character want now? Right? It could be wanting to do something. It could be wanting an object. It could be wanting to kill somebody, whatever, to help somebody. Right? You get it? What does it want now? In sheet E, you have A's to fill that.
I would be deleting whatever is written there.
Yes. If it is your space that somebody has filled, you can change it. For ease, I have written this. Right. So I'll also cycle through XYZ for people who are on the standby so that they can see. Volunteer X is filling it out. Y has kind of filled out everything. Wonderful. X is has to finish it. Y and Z have finished. A, sheet A is more than halfway through now. Sheet B, yes. Sometimes when the text gets deleted, it could be confusing. So I can also show you this. So circle of being is, what does it live for? Why that character exists? What is its aim in the purpose of its existence? That is circle of being. The purpose of existence of the character. I'm using a story, although story may not be ideal for innovation, but it will give you a way out when we get stuck with innovation. So like, meanwhile, we can discuss an example, like if we are stuck with some kind of like innovating a car. So if I say, don't innovate the car, innovate the door of the car. So maybe Karen is innovating the door of the car. Max Proper is given the headlights. Somebody is given the boot of the car to innovate. Somebody is given the chair and the seats to innovate. Somebody is given the dashboard or the interaction part. So if we circle things around and we have 5 cars to be made, and then we suddenly see what kind of innovation has happened. When you look at these stories, of course, I will not pass an opinion right now because we will do that part together.
Where I have to go now?
So for A, I think again B, go to B and finish that. If you finish that, then go to C. In C, right now your turn has not come, but you can still fill it. I think you've finished all except for C. So you have to finish C. So in C, we are waiting for E and A to finish in sheet C. In sheet D is finished. And in sheet E, C has to do something. So C, please go to sheet E E and A, please go to C. And then we have got C, D, and E have to fill B. And B and D have to fill A. We are almost near the finish. You're doing nice. Don't worry. We took a little time because of being online and digital. So, like the volunteers A, B, C, D, E had to open many sheets and understand the format. Okay, why is filled everything? Great. Z is done. Yes, Beth, thanks for the idea. Meanwhile, I would like everybody to keep seeing how stories are turning out. So you can look at story A. This is for the remaining people who are not part of the volunteers. I could have done volunteers with everybody, but that would have been a little more complicated for people. So that's why I restricted to 5. Otherwise, I do it with a class of 40 people. And goes wonderfully in a physical domain. Like you're just passing on slips to people. So we are done with story B. We are done with A. Wonderful. We are done with C. We are done with D. And the last one, E, is happening. So volunteer C is filling out the last one, I think. Yes, great. So all have done. Wonderful. And we did it pretty fast. Okay, now we are back to understanding this, but there is a form that the volunteers need to fill so that we understand their experience of, because gamification is all about understanding the experience of doing it, not just doing it. So please. No. Please share your experience in this form, and then we can see how the experience comes out. But now, in the meantime, the rest of us will go into a discussion. Volunteers, please just fill the form so that we understand your experiences. But for the audience, how does it look? Who was having more fun with building things? Yes. Who do you think, if this is a learning exercise, who was having more learning, more fun, more exposure? Any ideas? Meanwhile, others, please fill the forms. Eight people, volunteer A, B, C, D, E, and X, Y, Z. Please fill the form. And rest of us will discuss about the experience that you felt people went through. See, XYZ didn't have any issues doing it. They were responsible for their own stories. So, of course, they did it fast, they did it perfectly right. And of course, we can take a look at their stories. So, a plankton lives in a food court. It's a sea animal. Its friends are pigeon and a small worm. It hides in dustbin. And the circle of being is eat as much leftovers as possible. What does it want to do now? To be the king of the food court. Its enemy is other. Oh, X is not finished. Gopal, are you around?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Okay, so you are missing on the last two. You're still doing it?
Yes, yes, I'm just
Okay.
completing it,
Okay,
sir.
no problem, no problem. Carry on. Right. And let us take a look at a random story by collaboration. So we'll take a look at A. So the character is Misha, lives in a jungle. It is a dragon. Its friends are hippo, monkey, and giraffe. It survives by eating plants and small animals. It is its purpose is to protect friends from enemies, and it wants peace now. Its enemies ants. So how the story begins? Search for friends in the jungle. Karamba lives in the core of the earth. It's a mammal. Its friends are rock and a spider. It survives by getting energy from underneath the sun, underneath the earth. It helps other animals and it wants to find more friends now. Its enemies are alligators and crocodiles. And the story begins with starts with a small fight with a crocodile. So this is what is coming out of the exercise. These are collaborative ones, and these are the ones written by an individual. And of course, there are responses have also started coming in.
Pardon the interruption. Vineet, we
Yes.
are at the 10-minute mark.
Oh, okay,
So I wanna
okay.
Give you that time check, please.
Great, great. Sure, thanks a lot. Okay, so if we go to directly, I'm jumping to what was the result. So a gamified story was much more fun. Nobody felt bored doing it. So when they rate their own stories, of course, we have not got all results in yet. People were surprised by the results. 80% were surprised by the results. So 80% felt that contributing to all stories was much more fun than creating one story. And if you have to do this exercise again, what method would you choose? So 80% want to choose a gamified story. But anyway, since all results are not in, I can't say. So 80% are happy with this workshop and 20% are maybe. So there's nobody who's not happy. Yes. So I just wanted to show the point that when we bring in collaboration, even if sometimes it feels that we compromise with the quality of the product being made, but as a learning exercise, if you realize, I don't know whether you realize, but in A, B, C, D, and E, they went through 5 stories. So at every line, when they have to suggest something, they have to go through the entire story again. So which makes learning, the depth of the learning is wider for people who are collaborating. A lot of times, this aspect of learning gets ignored. That collaboration also brings you exposure to multiple ideas, and that will increase your knowledge base. So that was the core of my talk today. Means that is why somebody who can create vacuum in a globe, in a glass globe, and also is able to make resistances, still does not come up with an electric bulb. You need an Einstein for that. So an engineer automatically cannot innovate. Innovation needs you to break out from logic, and gamification like this and other ways, of course, helps you break out from logic. But sometimes gamification gets trapped in a very straitjacket pattern. So I just wanted to show how patterns can be broken. Not every time gamification needs to be done with a very digital kind of a system. It can also be done in a very physical way, in a very natural and organic way. So that was the core. I think since time is less, let us get into some discussions. So anybody who has any inputs or questions or whatever, whether I could have shared some actual examples of gamification, but I thought let us do it and learn. Because all right brain training is more suitable for doing and learning rather than talking and learning. Right? Can I have some inputs? I would be lovely to get some inputs, or if not questions, whatever. I can stop sharing my screen if it is okay. We still have not got responses from a few people. It would be very good if all of the 8 people give the responses, right? Even if after the workshop.
And as we are approaching our time, Vineet, I'll ask
Yes.
him here if we have any questions.
Yes. Okay. If you have any
in the room.
Yeah, Max has a question. So Max, I think if I understand it correctly, you're looking at how this can be tied to an outcome, right? So right now we had tied it to an outcome of a story. Of course, we had very less time, so we did a very quick exercise. But when we look, the issue, what you're pointing is very right, that we always want that this outcome should result in an evaluation. So sometimes evaluation can impact learning. So we have to do a very like intermediate path. So the results of all of the 5 stories done by collaborative work should be averaged and shared between all. So that could be the way out. For individual, they get like they get the marks that the story fetches. But for A, B, C, D, and E, the marks are now collaborative, and which is not a bad idea. What do you think, Max? It will be very good to know your opinion on this.
So I'm wondering, these are stories. How do you apply these to developing instructional outcomes for different instructional objectives and tasks?
Right. So, like, of course, I was looking at specifically the gamification of innovation. So when we have to innovate, right? In innovation, typically the outcome is going to be a new product or a new application. So, I couldn't have taken that kind of an exercise within a short time. So I chose story as a metaphor for innovation. Right. So if you're looking at outcomes in terms of learning, like you would have seen that A, B, C, D, E have gone through 5 different stories, 5 different settings, 5 different characters. Right. So when we look at instructional outcomes, the outcome is that their breadth of knowledge is now much more than the people who choose to go solo. Right. So you can, of course, you have to tie this to the way you are going to end it. Is the outcome a set of marks or the outcome an innovation? It depends on what outcome you're looking for, but you can do this for all kinds of outcomes. So instructional outcomes mean more of like the learning and the evaluation, right? Or anything particularly specific that you want to point to?
No, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Bikramji, you want to, he has feedback. So there is new flavor to each story now. rather
Yes,
than
individually, if I could have done it solo, I couldn't have thought of this much. But now there is a new flavor to each one of them. So if I have to write an episode on this, so it will be totally different. I mean,